the county commissioners did what they thought should be done, and they made that R1 and then left those 5-acre parcels out there to put in that ag 20, yeah, you know, which doesn't fit. But whatever. Not, that's for another time, but I only bring that up on the map because the map does overlay to the other side of the freeway. And as it sits right now, as far as transitional purposes, the freeway creates a transition from those R1 lots on that side to the ag. A very clean transition.
I tend to agree with Warren here. You know, seems like there's not a lot of precedent for dissolving a municipality. The R1 zoning is meant to be around municipalities with the intent the municipality can provide the services that the expansion needs. In this case, that doesn't fit. I don't think that the R1 around the city or around the Hammer town side is the same as R1 around like Rigby or Stewart municipality. I think the I-15 does create, you know, a barrier, a clean cut. It kind of makes it harder to say, even if Hammer reincorporated and started providing services. I'm not sure how hard it is to go under the highway, under the freeway, but would they ever provide services out that way? I don't know.
The chances of Hammer being incorporated again are like slim as they can. Because it takes a lot to incorporate it. The original incorporation had to do with the liquor license, and that's why Hammer went clear down 3 miles south, because they had to gather up enough residents to create right, to create the town, because they're all the way down the railroad tracks from 2100. Yeah, like 3 miles out, there was a sliver of land that was the city of Hammer, and that was to get it up, had to have 39 residents to incorporate and have the liquor licenses. So
Just talk about food.
It was.
we had 2 bars at one
It
time.
was back in the day. All of them were all about.
Yeah, all
9 of them.
39 of you.
I wasn't there at that time, I came later, but the bars were there when I got there, okay? They were, but I'm saying that, you know, and that's not why we're here tonight. We're here to discuss the possibility of the rezone, but as I look at it, to me, it becomes more, I don't know, it almost becomes more of a spot zone to go across the freeway, take one parcel and zone it R1 and the next ag. And the idea, you know, it seems like in our ordinances, in our zoning, is that we should have a good transition. And the R1 needs to be an area of impact where services, you know, and sometimes maybe be hoped for and expected to be delivered as far as water, sewer, things of that nature. But the whole reason, the whole rezoning was just to simply capture what was already there, you know, and move on. I would like this thing to go a different direction, but it didn't. But to put R1 over on the west side of the freeway into the agriculture area, I don't think that would be proper. I also, you know, well, I said an awful lot on the last one, but this one I'm gonna say the same thing again, is that I think that you place the capability to have 8 more houses in that small area next to farm ground, then the farmer, the rancher next to it, are gonna become a single voice to 9 people. You know, or as far as maybe they don't like the cow, maybe they don't like how the baler's getting around at 3 o'clock in the morning, because you know, there's bigger farm pieces just across the road from them. There is. Well, there's another couple hundred acres. And I don't think that it meets all the rezone criteria. Personally. So, okay.
Other discussion? But
So I guess for me, when I'm following that, you're saying that we shouldn't pay attention to the comprehensive plan because the Hamer is no longer a city and should require the same look at it. So in saying that though, in the location of this and the property itself, if it was pristine ground and it is currently being farmed, that's a different situation. But when I look at this, it's either it should be C1 or R1. I just don't understand why this land falls into an area where it isn't any different than a situation where a subdivision goes next to another farm and that ground is actually fertile soil and can be used for such. So what else would you do with this land? If not subdivided?
Well, here was, and I have a question for staff, actually. So, when Hamer was rezoned, wasn't this particular property listed as commercial?
Well, it sounds like the history of it could have been some sort of a,
It was a rest area, and there was a home there before the one that's there.
okay,
I wonder if it was, there's some, because there's been some, there was an awful lot of stuff that took place around Hamer, in the rezone, and that was 2 years ago. And let's start here. I thought that at one point that particular piece may have been listed as commercial.
so you think you may be right.
And then in the whole rezone process, we took into account the freeway and made that Ag 10 because there was Ag 10 on the other side. And Ag 20, whatever.
well, we can all agree this is not ag ground.
Well, no, it's not Ag ground, but if you're gonna follow the rezone criteria, plunking 9 houses next to the farm.
Well, it's already got one house
First.
on it, there's only
Yes,
9
it does.
acres, so there's no way you'll get that many on there with roads, everything else.
Whatever, you
Maybe
can
get 7, okay, let's just,
So let's put 7 there. That the possibility exists at 7. I know you got roads.
Sure.
Setbacks and all of that. No, but on the other side of that is that if this was commercial 2 years ago, it can't be changed for another year.
well, I don't think that's the case though, right? We've got, our documents go back at least 20 years.
We're not going.
Okay.
No, it's okay. Let me figure out our other street program. Yeah, we just use my video games and you let you say. Okay.
Can we just let Janet do it?
It looks. So was this the old city limits? Oh, no, it wasn't. So this is 2010. Which is probably the 2008 zoning, but that light brown is all R1 zoning.
So the brown is R1 zoning, so in that time in 2008, it was R1.
It was R1 at one time.
Do you see any commercial property in that area that was done?
But then it got moved to 10.
No, it's. So that's the historic zoning.
Okay,
So did it get changed?
it had to have gotten changed when Hammer got rezoned, because Hammer, if that was the city, then
That
fine.
that wasn't the city limits, this clear out here.
Oh, okay, those are the white areas, salients, but the brown is the R1,
Yeah, brown is the other one,
which includes the property that we're talking about.
you know. Yeah, there's a.
So if Hamer was ever to become something other than what it is, wouldn't this help that? I mean, I know that maybe it's not a possibility, but there's gotta be something that can be done around that area.
But that's 2010 and it is R1.
Yeah,
And then, so did that change from R1
It may have changed.
in
to
23?
No, it may have changed to 20.
In 20?
Yeah.
Okay,
20 to add.
so it went, so it did go to Ag 10, but at one point it was R1.
Yeah.
for a large period of time, it looks like.
I don't remember thinking that.
Well, at any rate,
Before it was out.
so it was one, and changed to 10, and at this moment right now, it's active, correct?
Yeah, at this moment, it's at,
But it was probably bolted in with everything else on that side of the highway.
well, they took all that R1 and turned all the R1 into 10. It probably happened in 20, because that's when the county pulled back from all the R1 zoning around the cities.
Okay.
So that's where. it all
We
went
did,
to.
To Sean's point about kind of the best use of the area. So I agree, even the applicant mentioned, yeah, if you make a 5 acre lot, you're just gonna have 4 acres of waste, right?
Yeah,
Especially with the way our water laws are going. I still believe that putting houses right next to the freeway is not a great idea. I don't think it's good for future development. I think that, you know, freeway exits are great for commercial, maybe even light industrial. And, it seems like that side of the highway is perfect to keep any commercial development away from people who would be on the other side. So I agree that that may not be quality farm ground. Something needs to be, if there's a better use for that property than what it has right now. I still don't think that R1 is the best use for that property at its location. And without there being a city there to justify being to the area of impact, I couldn't justify it myself. I mean, there's a subcommittee that's, you know, correct me if I'm wrong or correct my words, there's a subcommittee that's researching or looking up and down the I-15 corridor.
Yeah, we haven't gotten to the subcommittee part yet, but we have started conversations about industrial parks and stuff.
And my understanding is that the plan you're coming up with of foster having are not increased residential around exits I-15, but commercial light industrial,
Industrial, yeah, and heavy, yep.
which this application can't be, you know.
changed,
Behold,
but Sam's already a house there anyway, it's Ag 10 and.
Yeah, that's the,
Yeah. So, yeah.
So I agree with Sean's point of, you know, 5 acres is not great. There's nothing to do with it. So if you develop it, at least you've done something with it, made the land of value, but I believe that land value is probably in commercial or light industrial, and even if that's down the road, that's still the right choice.
well, I do agree, it would be nice to see that in the commercial space, but I just. Where it's located and that, you know, being that far out, it's just something that. I would just like to see this land being used for something, and I just don't see it ever going commercial, but. There's already a house on it, that would be almost impossible, they would allow it, so, you know, so if the land's either gonna sit the way it is, or it's gonna be allowed to go to R1. I just feel like the best opportunity would, to let it go to R1 and, develop that ground. But I guess also if the board did see fit to, follow that recommendation, you know, we do have, from the Hamer Water District expressing their concerns, which I think needs to be addressed more than anything. If the subdivision did go forward, I believe that we would definitely have to attach something to it. But of course, it's just a zone change at this point, so I apologize.
Yeah, I mean, you would have to attach those elements to it when it came in to, as a preliminary plat. Other discussion?
So I kind of agree that going on that west side of I-15, Jimmy does, even though it's not spot zoning, it appears that way. But I am also torn because this is not a viable piece of farm property, so I'm really torn on this one. It's just, I feel for probably more so the wells and the septics. Not only that piece of property, but those in the surrounding areas. Because I think it is a sensitive area and there is gonna be basalt under there that's gonna stop
There's
some of that. Yeah. So I think there may not be issues today, but I think in the future you will see more issues out there by approving things like this, so.
You said you were testimony, so I feel bad, 'cause I don't, you're right, it's not high ground, but I don't think zoning to R1 is the right thing, and I also don't think like zoning 5 is the right thing, like I don't know, I'm not. I don't know.
Well, I guess for me, it's already R1, we have a house sitting on it. Just on a 10-acre parcel of land. Well, yeah, but I meant.
Well, I mean, what he's saying is, in all practicality, I mean, it's got a single home on it. And there's way to put a second home on it at this point, so it's a one building permit for the space.
No, yeah, I understand. But I still think that you put 7 more houses there, it's gonna create compatibility issues. For people who've been there a lot longer than that.
Well, and I think maybe, coming back to the purpose of this committee here. And it's not necessarily to tell people what they can or can't do with the land, but it is within our purview to look at, the land use and understand how the decisions do impact the land use. And in this particular case, it will change the potential use of that land and the surrounding land to it as well. In this particular case, I mean, I don't think I would argue that it is spot zoning. I don't believe it is. I think based on where we're at. However, just because it's not necessarily that we're saying it's not spot zoning, doesn't necessarily make it potentially the best utilization of the property. I mean, in our consideration.
No, I understand, and I do, but it also. In 112-203, the use, this is residential one zone, R1, the use of this zone is appropriate in areas designated by the comprehensive plan as a residential and is inside or adjacent to the city area of impact. Where a network of roads, provides good access to primary transportation routes. Urban services may not be available immediately, but are capable of being extended or constructed in the area. Well, there is absolutely zero services to be extended, and this is,
You're talking about fire and ambulance, correct? When you say services.
well, no, not necessarily.
Even municipal like
Water construction,
as well.
But this is from 112-203, the residential one zone and the purpose of it. And where we should be where it's supposed to go. You know, this is out of our ordinance. If you're gonna, you know, it's gotta meet the rezone criteria, but I think at the same time, it has to meet the zone criteria.
You feel like the biggest one is just the,
I don't think it fits in the rezone criteria. It doesn't fit every one of them. Factor 4. You know, I mean, just going by the ordinance. Alright.
What section is that one called what?
112-203. That's the R zone.
Okay.
You know, the stated purpose, and it is for providing single family cash dwellers. You know, with a variety of their densities. And
right, it also requires mixed land use, which falls into that category. You have a city dwelling, you have ag 10. And you have land that is not farmable.
But it's great for commercial.
Project a comment, please.
No, sorry, you can't, apologize.
Farmer all around that.
No,
They're playing in particular.
And for me, it's, let's say, the code that more cited. We don't have R one zone in the county except for adjacent to cities for the purposes that he cited.
how do you do that?
Yeah, and I just don't think that the R one meets any of the criteria in that location.
right,
Your
but,
zoning grant, I love.
well, but you know what, I'll actually go play off of something that said maybe to increase the chaos here. But Milt made the comment that Manan was gonna be 7,000 people, right? There's a reason it's not. And that's because there was no available ground that could be built on.
Because the farmers would
It's
sell.
because people wouldn't sell it.
Yeah, that's right.
And so in this particular case, I mean, there may be the opportunity, I don't know, I can't speak to the property. Are there available building lots in and around, and if I wanted to build, is there property?
In downtown.
Okay, and I mean, I think that's a valid statement.
There's 13 of you downtown, and 5 of them on the other side out there.
To say that there are available building lots
It's not,
within the old town site, if you will.
Desert scenic estates.
And not that that's necessarily a precursor, but it still says, do you create additional if you already have available that aren't needed? And if there were nothing available, then you could say maybe it makes sense to make more available. From that perspective.
yeah, well, yeah, from that perspective, possibly. But on, with the amount of lots that are already available in the old town side of Hammond. Put R1 on the other side of the freeway. It's gonna be not much different than what's taking place around Ridgely.
Yep.
Out in the middle of nowhere, there's R1, and then there's more R1. And then it's you can do what they wanna do, I don't must it. But I'm just saying that as it sits right now. That freeway creates a very natural transition from the R1 to the Ag 10. As far as the eye can see to the west. And there are lots. That are already available. To the east. So we talk about, things we should and shouldn't do. If you're gonna follow the ordinance. It probably should not happen. Because it's not a. 112.60. The requested zone shall not be incompatible with the surrounding area and the uses in that area. I'm sorry, but if you put 7 or 8 more houses in there, there is going to be compatibility issues. So I do understand that every property owner has rights to their property. And you have that right up to the point where you may be infringing upon your neighbor. I think this would be an infringement. Yeah. I would make a motion to, I don't have the number. Here we go. Yes, I would make a motion to recommend denial of zone change. Zone 26-0005. In the findings of fact is it does not fit all of the rezone criteria. It does not fit. Or that would be 112-60, and it doesn't fit section 112-203, the residential 1 zone, the purpose and following paragraphs of it.
I have a motion on the table. Do I have a second?
I'll second.
Been moved and seconded to recommend denial of zone, of item zone 26-005. All in favor?
I,
All opposed?
Nay.
As a nay, do you want to offer any additional explanation?
I think I've already done that one.
Okay,
Thank you.
motion carries for denial. Next item on the agenda is variance 26-0008. B&E Builders and Hillary Sanders are requesting a variance to vary from the building setback, chapter 112, section 112-263, density and dimensional requirements for parcel RP 00626-001-0090, located at 21 East, 480 North. Applicant is building a shop that is being attached to an existing shed. The existing shed is 12 feet from the south property line. The addition has a building wall height of 16 feet, which would require a 16-foot setback. Project contains 1 acre in the residential 1 zone in a portion of section 8, township 4 north, range 39 east, Boise Meridian. Do I have a staff report?
Yes, thank you, Commissioner. So this one came across as part of our building permit review, so they're actively going through the building permit review process. And at the time when this application came through, we were in the transition from the old code to the new code. And so we're still trying to get the administrative variance kind of like integrated into our code, since we don't have the fees established for it yet. So this is why the applicant had applied for a variance for this particular situation. Prior to the code amendment, they were under the impression that it would have to be a 20-foot setback minimum, but then with that new code change, it's going based off that wall height, so it's 16 feet. And they did provide a revised letter, and so I did put that in front of you, commissioners, along with that agenda. Basically, it's just kind of reiterating the challenges with the option of having the shop be detached from the existing shed versus attached, is that there was just a lot more challenges with that than being able to attach it to the existing shed. One of the reasons for why they're asking for this variance in regards to the hardship is that the shed was built prior to the current owners residing there. So when they bought the house, that shed was already in place. And so when they wanted to add an addition to it, they were under the impression, that it would have been fine to be able to add on to that existing shop. But the way our code reads is that when you're adding on to a structure, that entire structure has to meet setbacks, not just what's being added on to. And so if that shed weren't there, this shop wouldn't easily be able to meet that 16-foot setback. But due to that existing shop being 12 feet, it brings that hardship of, you know, do they have to move that entire shed over 4 feet to be able to meet those setbacks? Or try to find some way to move that new shop addition elsewhere on the property where they already have the house already on the property, shed already existing. And so that's just essentially why they're asking for this request is, just be able to make good use of their property that's with what was already in place. And so we're looking at the code. I will note that since we had updated our variance code, we do have new standards to go by, so it isn't the 4 standards. 4 criteria like it was before. We do have now 12 criteria. So it's a little bit lengthier when kind of reviewing these variance applications and determining if it is meeting the hardship or not. And so.
You say, did we do that?
So when it comes to procedural requirements, did they, you know, provide everything needed for the application? So that was met. They're asked for the hardship being, regarding the existing shed already being on the property. That's their reasoning for applying for this variance. The exceptional, extraordinary physical characteristics, again, just kind of reiterating that existing shed and how it being attached, the whole structure has to meet that county setback minimum versus just what's being added on to. That the hardship created by those characteristics. So the strict application of the 16-foot setback would make the expansion of the existing structure a challenge if they were to ever add on to it and make the building wall height taller than say 12-foot tall, 12-foot wall. And that being that the hardship was not self-imposed, so the shop was placed before the current ownership. So it wasn't that they built that shed and then wanted to add on to it later. They had bought the property with the shed already there. And then when it comes to not based on financial hardship, so we don't consider the financial hardship, but there is a factor of if they were to have there is a factor to consider if they would have to meet code, what that cost would look like, and is that more than what the variance would be to be able to alleviate it. So when it came to sending out public notice, for that criteria 7, that it's not contrary to public interest. We sent out notice and we received no comment from the agencies we've notified and from any of the neighboring properties. So from our understanding, there's nobody had any issues with this variance request. Criteria 8, that it's not injurious to property in the zone vicinity. So again, it's in the R1 zone. They're just adding an addition to their shop. They're not creating a new use. They're just trying to build a structure that would be just like any other residential property with having an accessory structure on their property. No conflict with the comprehensive plan. Again, it's not changing the designated use of the property. It's still staying as a residential use. Criteria 10, not being a special privilege. They're not asking to, I guess, anything that would be a large variance. Earlier it was about a 25% reduction from the 16-foot minimum. The minimum variance necessary, they're just asking to be that 12 feet so that they wouldn't have to move that shed or find a way to have the shop addition be able to meet that 16-foot setback. They're just asking for that variance to be able to add on to an existing structure without having to alter what's already existing. And then the last one being not an authorized use. So that's, again, just saying, is it for an intended use that wouldn't fit in that zone? And so again, it's just it's an accessory structure that would be permitted in R1 zone. And so, again, just to reiterate that the agencies were notified, the public was notified, and we didn't receive any comment from either. And then this is just the recommended motion, as it is the final motion for the commissioners, and that is all.
Thank you. Do we have somebody here to present?
My name is Quinn Miller with B&D Builders. Our company address is 1335 Enterprise Street in Idaho Falls. Jenna covered most of everything that we want to propose, at least. It's just that homeowners would like to build this beautiful shop, and purely for, not purely, but the majority of the reason is aesthetic, that we want to be able to match and release this shop symmetrical, I guess, and we want to use the one that's currently on site. And that current building is within the setback that we need. So essentially, we're just requesting variance to be within that 12 feet. The main impact or issue, I guess, with the setback would be mainly for the existing or the adjacent homeowner. And we have a signed letter from the adjacent homeowner approving that this is no impact to them, and that everything, I mean, the building's been there for, before the homeowner's currently been there, hasn't been an issue. So, that's our main request, is that we be able to do the variance on the setback to be able to build a shop that is homeowners are looking to get.
Okay, thank you. Any questions?
So it's supposed to be 16 feet, right?
Correct, yeah,
Okay, and it's only 12
correct.
on the existing structure.
Yes, good.
But the new shop is even farther away from property line, is that what I'm seeing?
Yeah.
Yeah.
The new shop itself would not infringe anyway in the setbacks, but because we want to attach them, it now becomes part of the structure.
Okay,
That's why you're here.
Yeah.
Exactly, good.
okay.
Okay, any other questions? Okay, thank you. Okay, I don't have anyone signed up to speak for, neutral, or against. Anything you want to rebut what about you said? Perfect. Okay, we'll go ahead and close the public hearing portion of the meeting for discussion from the board. I might have a question for staff in our 12 things. I don't recall thinking we needed 12, but whatever.
That variance code went from a page and a quarter to 9 pages.
Well, that's just what we wanted.
See that?
So no, but the one I would ask about, and maybe just a little explanation for us. Let's see if I can find it. It's basically has to do, I think it's either criteria 2 or 3, that the property has extraordinary characteristics.
Unique, right?
Exceptional physical.
Exceptional physical characteristics. What does that mean? I mean,
The codifier has already been updated. That's what you're here for, is to create these interpretations.
oh, thank you very much.
Yeah.
You had AI created, now I gotta go figure it out.
No, they spent no time with this.
Oh,
It was
That's so much better.
an attorney's AI program.
okay. No, and I mean, I think I've read through, some of your description and I, again, I want. Well, forgive me, I was gonna say, I take exception to exception, the terminology exceptional, because exceptional means exception, anyway. With it,
Weird shape.
Well, and that's why, and
Right,
that's,
right,
that's why we let this come forward, right? Is because
yeah.
he's attaching to a structure that's already
And
there.
I would come back to that specifically, that says it's an existing structure that is probably unique. Because it may not look exactly like it anywhere else, so I'm just, and there's not another one exactly in the same location either, so, I mean, it is.
Well,
Right.
And how far?
Sorry,
is this-
I'm jumping into liar mode here, forgive
Well,
me.
and how far is this, the actual tall wall away from?
Right, and so then with that is, the exception, again, and forgive me for being wrapped up in that crap. It's the essentially wanting to attach it. As was stated, it would be fine by itself, but it's the fact that, oh, I've attached it to this existing structure, and we want to do that, and the existing owner did not put that structure there. And so, I mean, I think it, even though I think our wording is questionable, I think we still meet it, is, I guess, where I'd like to say. Other discussion, sorry, I just couldn't leave that alone. So. Other discussion, sorry, I didn't mean to.
Yeah, so I'm fairly familiar with this subdivision. Did quite a few houses in there. My dad lived on this road, and, I know exactly what this property is done, and the original builders actually. And I looked at it earlier, and this one, I felt like there wasn't any reason for me to, object to anything that was wanting to be done. The hardship is definitely not self-imposed when it comes to that shed. It's already in compliance, so they're doing it the right way, and, I personally don't have any problems with it.
Yeah, and I think also I would add to, criteria 6, not based on financial hardship. In this case, it isn't. I mean, they're actually wanting to do it for aesthetics and appearance, and so I think we meet that. In terms of public interest, again, it's not introducing essentially any encroachment or anything else. It's really, with respect, it becomes a regulatory, issue.
Right behind the house.
Right. I don't see it as injurious, certainly to the other properties as stated by, adjoining landowners. And, special privileges. Again, I don't think we're granting anything in the use of a variance, so. Other discussion.
I agree with this one, and is it these one, what, is that one? So, is it exemption?
It's exception.
The neighbor doesn't have a problem with it. I think the only safety related issue I can see is adding more surface area to the roof, may add more snow, but. It's already 12 feet away, that's pretty far.
Yeah, it looks like the trees were, they're trees too, so. Snow slides, I guess.
Well, and also when those houses got built there first, I would say there's more than just one that's out of compliance when it comes to how close they are to the property line. Would I be correct?
I'll make a motion. Sorry with that. I make a motion to approve variance to 6-0008. To allow a 12-foot building setback from the property line, in place of the required 16-foot setback. For the proposed addition to the existing shed at 4021 East, 480 North. Yeah, just due to,
Based on discussion.
yeah, based on discussion and, the variance, what's the variance? Requirements? Yeah, we did 112-98, so
1 through 4.
1 through. No.
No,
No, this is what she has. That's fine.
That's still good.
We'll have to talk to the code buyers about that because.
Okay, well, it should be 112-100.
Okay, 112-100.
That's pretty fine.
okay. I have a motion on the table.
I'll second it.
It's been moved and seconded to, in this case, we're granting approval. All in favor? Opposed? Motion carries unanimously. Next item on the agenda is a conditional use permit, CUP 26-0002. Alan and Michelle Pierce are requesting a conditional use permit for relocating a manufactured home from out of county that is older than 15 years onto a property located in Jefferson County. Home was built in 2000, will be moved from Bingham County to parcel RP 05N 39E3 Property is 15.055 acres located off of Annis Highway or North 3950 East in the Ag 10 zone in a portion of Section 31, Township 5 North, Range 39 East of Boyce Meridian. Staff report.
Thank you, Commissioner. So similar to ones that we've seen prior, where it's just in our code is written the way where we have manufactured homes that are older than 15 years, dependent upon whether they are moving within the county or moving out of county. In this case, this one's coming from a county that's down south, and so it requires a conditional use permit just to basically just look at the condition of the existing home and providing conditions on it if needed to bring it into compliance when moving it into the county. And so where it's located or where they're wanting to place manufactured home, it's in the Ag 10 zone. Currently there's not a home on the property, so this would be the first one that's going on there. Or if there was one before, that currently there isn't one now. They provided their site plan to showing where they're proposing to place it on the property. And the comprehensive plan of it is agriculture designation. And so an ag zone does allow for a manufactured home to be placed on the property. So it does meet the land use table. And then these are the photos that the applicant had provided of the structure. So this is just where it is at currently. Their proposed plan for how to affix it to the ground is to put it on pillars. And then part of the building permit process would require the perimeter of the foundation to have the look and integrity of a permanent foundation. As they're not planning to pour a foundation, but rather just have like cinder blocks to be able to have it be placed on the property. And so then they just took all pictures on all the sides of the structure. So then when looking at the criteria for a conditional use permit for a manufactured home, there was just the one standard for a manufactured home where it does require the permanent foundation, but building code does allow that a permanent foundation could be concrete, or it could be those have the look and integrity of a concrete foundation. So that is something that is checked during the building permit process. So that if you'd like to make that as a condition for this permit, that is up to the commission to decide on that. But looking at all the other standards that it shows to me, they met the procedural requirements. It's compatible with the surrounding properties, as most of it is either ag use or there's sparse housing. So it would fit in line with what's existing around. When considering hazards or any site constraints, there is a canal that's on the back portion of the property, but based on their site plan, they're well enough away from that canal, so they wouldn't be conflicting with the canal setbacks. They meet all other conditions for being able to place the manufactured home on the property in regards to, setbacks. And the land use to allow manufactured home. And they would be meeting the standards when they apply for a building permit and go through that review process to ensure that the building is meeting building code standards. When it comes to the services, there is a private well already on the property and they plan to add the septic permit or the septic system later. So they're planning to do individual well and septic for this manufactured home. When it comes to meeting other agency requirements, we did send it out for public comment. We didn't receive any from agencies. We did receive a few from the public. There were 2 that were in favor of the application, and then there was one opposed as they just were concerned with the age of the home being older than 15 years. And then when it comes with not being in conflict with the comprehensive plan, that there wasn't any conflict seen there when staff reviewed this. So then those are the public notice comments, and then again, noting that agencies were notified and we did not receive any comment from the agencies. And then these are the recommended motions, and this is a final motion for the commission, and that is all.
Thank you. Do we have someone here to present?
My name is Alan Pierce. The approximate address is 637 north, 3950 east. That's approximate because that is the property next to us. We do not have an address at this time. So you might want to note that. I understand the home is a little older. When it was ordered, they did have sheetrock put on the inside. So it is an updated, version of an older home. New windows have been put in it. It has a new roof on it at this time, with shingles. There's gonna be concrete runners underneath the bottom. Is what it is. It'll be placed with the hurricane straps. The exterior, it's a little expensive for the foundation is the reason why we were going with the cinder block idea. Putting it on that, make it, look like that, but as well, we've looked into the aesthetics of cinder block that comes in squares of like 2 by 3, I think it is. That goes along the outside, so it will look like it has a cinder block, base on around the outside, or not a cinder block, but a brick look around the outside, so aesthetically it will look nice. I think that's about what I got. If you have any questions.
Any questions for Mr. Blair?
So the main reason for not doing the permanent foundation is the expense?
Yeah.
Okay, and then did I see that somewhere in the application you're gonna replace the siding or just where that garage is attached?
The garage is not attached
Where
to
it
the
is.
home.
Yeah,
So the outside siding is still there and everything else. There was a gap placed between it when they put the home in down there.
okay,
There's a few boards that will come off. But yes, we would like to take and re-side the outside and make it look a newer look, a little fresher look. With the new windows that are in there, so.
okay. Thank you.
Any other questions? Thank you. Again, no one signed up to speak for, neutral, or against. Do we need to read the letters that were received? Has everyone received those?
They were received well before the 7 day,
Okay,
well before 7 days, but if you would like them to be read into the record, that's.
I just didn't know.
They're already in file, so.
Has the commission looked at it and seen them? Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, they're part of the they're part of the permanent record then, so, okay. Discussion.
So just to re-educate myself, what is the time period that has to, but the reason why it's before is because it's older, what is the age that it has to be, is it? So it's just right there.
Yeah.
No.
16 years.
15.
Oh.
Built
20.
2000.
Oh.
It was 26.
It's totally switching.
Fire list. So just looking at the pictures, I've seen stick-built homes that look worse than this built in 2000, so. But my only reservation comes back to it's not on a permanent foundation. And if we move forward, I would maybe suggest that be part of the conditional use permit, but other than that, I like what they've got planned and what their thoughts are.
I don't know what I want to stipulate the type of foundation. Our code allows for two different types. I wouldn't want to get in the middle of that. Plus newer manufactured homes, brand new, can still be put in those same systems with better case traps.
What does that, in terms of our code, you basically said it has a look at intent of a concrete foundation,
Look at integrity of the.
oh, integrity,
Yeah,
okay. What, who makes that call?
that would be the building.
Building
official.
department,
Yeah.
okay.
I'm on that, so.
He's pretty reasonable.
Okay. And is that done before they actually do it?
So it'd probably be part of the building permit review.
Okay, so
It's for manufactured homes, they require a foundation plan, and so the building inspectors, they look over that to make sure that it would be meeting building code standards.
okay. Since the guy happens to be here, I'm gonna look at him. Any concerns?
I don't have any concerns. We've done quite a few, with this type of foundations and with the cinder block around it.
Well, let me know that who it was that actually provided that, from staff that provided that information, please.
Don't send building official.
Okay, thank you.
I do agree for a person who doesn't understand, like a cinder block foundation sounds kind of sketchy, so that does help. So thank you for that.
Other discussion? Motion,
I'll make a motion. I was just trying to find a report.
You beat me.
I'll make a motion to approve the conditional use permit, CUP 26-002, based on the finding of facts we discussed as well as those within the report.
I second it.
before we do that, any conditions that, or we can, any conditions we would like to add, to that?
Not a part four, it's already noted. I think
Okay.
that our building code.
I would make a note that the previous ones we had done is we asked that one of the conditions be to review after 1 year, and then if they're meeting all building code, then we don't have to do annual review. After, because typical conditional use permits do require annual review indeterminately, and so for the manufactured homes, we put that condition in there, so that way we don't have to.
So the special condition would not be increasing inspections, but reducing inspections to just once.
Yeah.
I would just know, just the one review after 1 year. Just to make sure they didn't.
Okay.
Thank you.
It's been moved and seconded to, in this case, we're gonna do approve, with the one condition of, we will ask for one annual inspection or annual review, with none required in perpetuity. It's been moved and seconded with that condition. Any other discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries unanimously.
Make was the.
I second that.
I did, yeah.
There is not.
I just wanna give a
One,
quick,
2, 3.
I just wanna give a quick update, so for next month, that we are gonna be.
Okay, yes, so we will, I'm sorry, it does say commissioner and staff update. Please enlighten us.
So I just wanted to let everyone know that for next month, that we're gonna be holding the public hearing out in Tarleton, Idaho at the ALC auditorium with the West Jefferson High School.
You told me Mud Lake.
Yeah.
What I meant.
No,
Same area.
your meeting's
Down the road.
there tonight, I hope.
She actually did say there.
But yeah, so it'll be held there, and then we're gonna have the start time be at 7, just so that way, you know, for everyone that's, you know, over here, it gives you guys that time to be able to make it out, or anyone who
No.
needs to be able to.
No.
Oh, can I really stir it up?
Okay.
Can I really stir up? Right? Can I get like a special compensation for my mileage?
Yes.
Drive.
Yes, we're gonna get that.
For me.
Oh, hey,
Marty,
get
shit.
that. Yeah, we'll order sandwiches.
I'm just.
She's not giving you
No,
time up there.
Get you a brown bag.
Go to Burger King. Yeah.
Get a 5%.
Yeah.
There's something else I wanted to bring up.
We can. About some of this.
Okay.
I know, I was gonna say, hey,
Call HR right there.
But you will HR. Oh, you're the side of HR.
Any other information that we need?
So, we, if you wanna look at this, just for curiosity's sakes, we've done some research for the greater Rigby area. And so in the greater Rigby area, we've identified that there's currently just over 1,000 vacant subdivision lots. And so,
is that like a good number? Do we want?
well, you know, right now, we're building about 200 residences a year in the county.
Okay,
And so, I mean, they're not all going in the greater Rigby area, but, so that might be 7 to 10 years worth of growth.
okay,
But, I mean, we have a few more coming, but.
Yeah.
Nothing overwhelming, so.
Just one.
Maybe, we'll see, I mean, there's a couple more coming, we'll see what it turns into. We're doing a ton of research for all of this, and it will come out shortly, let me go to the map, oh, wait, I don't want to be there. We go to the map. So we've had initial meetings with ITDP on County Line, on 200 overpass, on widening 48. And so eventually, hopefully within the next 30 to 45 days, we'll have a public hearing or a public meeting with the board that explains the expenses of those different things. I have to admit, I'm quite encouraged by what the designs that they've made for the 200 overpass. The roundabout idea is kind of failed. I think they're gonna look at something different for county line.
okay.
Yeah,
I was big on the double peanut.
there was a flaw in the design, the engineering firm, so. Once they realized.
I was after the clover leaf, actually.
Yeah. Yeah,
Do they have another plan? Are they?
yeah, the double diamonds. Yeah,
Double diamond or diverging there.
right, whatever you call it,
Okay.
double diverging diamonds. Yeah. Right.
Nobody will know where to go.
I actually really like them. I think the way Madison's laid out, I think it's great.
Yeah, I pulled off to go to the IKEA store in somewhere in Utah and I went through one of those, it's pretty usually.
It's crazy.
There's one down
Crazy the second time.
in Lehigh.
Yeah,
They don't paint any lines on it. There's no barriers. You just gotta go where you want.
Where's that one
yeah,
at?
yeah.
Lehigh.
Yes, that one's intimidating.
I mean, it's like, I don't know, here I go.
You're something like Redwood Road.
Truck, you care?
But if I'm on my truck, I'm off.
Yeah.
Yeah, there we go.
So when are you thinking, say probably a month and a half, 2 months before we
Yeah,
have that meeting?
yeah, before that.
And would that be part of a month or monthly, or would we do it separate?
No, the board would. ITD and the board will be putting on presentations of,
Okay, it wouldn't be part
because they want the public to have input on those different designs. We also reached out to Rocky Mountain Environmental and asked what it would take to do a hydraulic study for the Greater Whidbey area. They came back with a quote that we might be able to afford. So, $6,000. So we're gonna take it to the board on Monday. And see if they'll approve.
I'd be interested to see what we're gonna get out of it.
Well, and I'll be happy to send you the quote, of the project, but it's all from existing data, right?
Right.
In which they probably have already gathered most of it. They said it would take 4 weeks to do their study. So,
Okay, so is it just previous data?
yeah, it's all existing. They will not be going out and,
No, but they're basically gonna tie everything together.
yeah,
And say, hey, here's everything we have, here's a holistic.
it's, it's,
Stuff.
it's not a bad deal because we are interested in, we know that we're at the headwaters, right, of the groundwater situation, right? And so, yeah, this will give us an idea of what the committee wanted to know is what would, how much growth could it accommodate?
Right.
So, and that could be good or bad, right? Because, and we talked to them about it, right? Say they come back and say, yeah, there's enough water to feed 1 million homes for 100 years. You may not want to know that.
Right.
So,
No, but I think it's fair information, and so. Okay,
But it does state statute changes, it doesn't matter if anybody wants to have a well.
right,
You know what I mean, regardless of whatever that's going on.
but I think what's interesting about some of this research we've been doing is that I think state statute was changed to address some of these concerns. So,
Well, yeah, and they are for social antics with that statute. I've got a call on my water.
yeah, yep,
And it's like. They didn't make a call on my house, but they made a call on my stock water.
yeah,
They do that. Because they're claiming that my stock water. Was granted off of the.
Off a residential well.
Off of the reserve, off of the stock water, we granted off of the reserve, extra Idaho water. That's what they've done for a long time.
yeah.
At least they did. They made a call.
Yeah, there's been some other places that have actually gotten some bills, fines and,
Which,
based on satellite.
yeah, I get that, but really, but still, it's like,
Yeah, not even drunk. Man.
it reads how many gallons you can have a day. You know, and they want to call my water. Fine, thanks for call out there.
I hope so.
We'll go to court.
Yeah,
But anyway, yeah, okay.
Has there been any enforcement on residential subdivisions and water rules with irrigating lawns and all that kind of stuff?
not for us. So,
Who is in charge of that?
IDWR. Yeah. Yeah,
oh, and with that, when we talked, I actually went in and spoke with the Greater Whidbey,
yeah,
committee, and actually I'm quite impressed with them. They're interested, they're participating. they were asking all the same questions we asked, and so I suggested that they go off and maybe bring in some specialists to talk to them, and I don't know if we made any progress that way, but whether we would get invited as well. So
Yeah, you're more than welcome. Yeah,
we haven't got there yet.
yeah,
So.
I'll let you know when we get that set up.
Okay, sounds good. Anything else? I'll entertain the motion.
Motion to adjourn.
Been moved to adjourn, do I have a second?
I'll second that.
Moved and seconded, all in favor? Opposed? Motion carries. Thanks, folks.
Can I get a big copy of the ordinance?
Yeah.
Look at you.